Prime Meridian Racing League. It's Season 2, Race 2 from the Worldwide Technology Raceway, Gateway, as it's known, Gateway Motorsports Park, for so many years. And now we get to do battle here with the Prime Meridian Racing League Dallara IR-18 IndyCars, 1.25-mile circuit and 160 laps. Just now the cars are heading down to do a little bit of qualifying, so we'll be headed down there. Now today, of course, my name is Trevor Greenfield, and it's so great to have you joining us here on VirtualRacing.Network. And today I am not in the booth by myself. It will be, of course, Julian Altena joining me. And Julian, so great to have you. Of course, everybody can see on their screen there how they can follow you on Twitter. Thanks for joining us again the second straight week.
Thanks, Trevor, for having me. Hello, everybody, and welcome back here. Of course, last week at Road America was a great race. Here at Gateway today, going to be another interesting one. It's known for its real live racing, of course. More famously known, the finish from 2019, I do believe, with Ed Carpenter and Takuma Sato there at the end. I think it was less than 2 or 300ths of a second there. So close racing, especially on cold and new tires here. Going to be great. It's going to be difficult for the drivers to hold on to their cars. So that's going to be something to watch as well. And of course, also pit strategy will be key here. Of course, the track being so short in length. When you make a pit stop too early, the caution might fall at the worst time for you, and you might lose a lot of lap time there, and you might go a lap or two down. So it's going to be interesting to watch the strategy and the racing here today.
Absolutely. Gateway has definitely proven to be one of those circuits that it offers you strategy opportunities at all points of the race, strategy opportunities in terms of lines going into the corners. All four of the corners you can take inside, outside, just depending on what your car is doing at the moment and how the adjustments are going. But we'll get ready for qualifying. That was just the end of practice. And so now you were letting me know ahead of time, Julian, that it looks like, because the weather here, we'll take a look, it's 27 degrees on track Celsius right now. And it is getting cooler as it gets later. So we're probably going to expect to see a lot of these drivers heading out later. But just as I say that, there goes Andreas Eick for Team Talent. We've got Oscar Fredrickson, Hugo Olsen, and Thomas Klessens all getting out there to get their qualifying laps underway.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm quite surprised that they're doing that, because normally when I race with Oscar especially, and a few other people as well, they always like to wait. You can see the sun going down here. If you look to the top of your screen, you might be able to see it in a few camera shots here and there. But like Trevor was saying, the sun will be going down, the temperatures will go down as well. So of course, the cooler track temperatures mean that the cars usually go faster, especially as the track grips up too. So yeah, like I said, I'm quite surprised that they're doing that, but they might be wanting to get the laps in early for some reason. But yeah, like I said, I'm quite surprised that they're all doing that.
Well, exciting stuff for Velocity Online Racing fans that are out there, because Oscar Fredrickson right now shown a little faster than Andreas Eick, who's on your screen. Right now, 25.88, his fastest. In practice, we were seeing some great times coming out of Christian Malkorek and a number of other drivers, so we wait for them to put in their laps here and get to the top of the board. There's Andreas Eick poking up to the top with that lap at 25.86. And just as I say that, Jesper Orman now takes over the top spot, 25.77. And actually, Jesper's working on his second lap. Hugo Olsen, Power Slide Motorsports, doing great so far up into third, but has now been actually overtaken by Matthew Levine for SMS Racing. Gets a little wiggle there coming off of turn 2, and Matthew finishing up his second lap. Number 69 car already second fastest. Not seeing a purple sector this time, but we never know. And he'll go across the line, not be able to improve. 3/100 slower. Let's take a look at some of the other drivers who are headed out on the track now. Perhaps these drivers will get a slight advantage. As you mentioned, Julian, with that temperature possibly going down. Let's take a peek at that again. Still 27 Celsius, but even 1 degree could make a difference.
Yeah, exactly. I was just getting ready to say that, actually. But yeah, so if it goes down 1 degree, you probably won't gain much, maybe at most half a tenth. That's very big. that's a very big estimate there, but it can gain you some lap time. And of course, this being an oval, the gaps are always going to be very small. You can see it right there, for example, the top three within less than a tenth of a second there. So the smallest of differences can make a huge difference on the timing results. For qualifying here especially, that's going to be key. Gateway isn't known for its overtaking usually later on in the run. You will see that early on in the run, especially at the start after pit stops maybe. So to have a good starting position will be important. And like I was just saying, the smallest difference make a huge difference on the timing tower.
Absolutely huge difference. Well, we did see perhaps that play out just a moment ago. So we saw Christian Malkorek take over the top spot momentarily, the 2571, and just a moment later, Daniel Dinsdale, one of the new drivers for SMS Racing, putting his name at the top now, 25.70. Will Lyon also for SMS Racing now on his second lap. Will he get in that magical second lap? We will wait to see as he swings around this lap here across the start-finish stripe. Will not go faster. So that will officially put Daniel Dinsdale at the top of the order for SMS Racing. Quite a show for the new driver to Season 2 here in the Prime Meridian Racing League. Pretty exciting stuff to have a brand new pole sitter and somebody else to talk about besides the Will Lyon SMS Racing show. Daniel Dinsdale will get a chance to officially announce that pole position. We still have just a couple more seconds to go until it's final, but Christian Malkorek also putting in a fantastic lap, as you mentioned, or as I mentioned just a moment ago, Julian, and Will Lyon there slotting into third. Exciting stuff, some new drivers up at the front, and that's exactly what you want to see here in the PMRL. Everybody gets a chance.
Yeah, exactly. And just want to point out again, by the way, which I was just saying, the cooler track temperatures. I think 2 or 3 of the guys that are in the top 5 set their lap times towards the end of the session. So that just goes to show that the cooler temperatures can be an advantage for you later on in the qualifying session. And also the difference between P1 and P5 is actually less than a tenth of a second. So very close times here at Gateway for qualifying.
Extremely close, very competitive at the front. As the cars head out there now for their warm-up, get in a few laps that they can then come in and check everything out, make sure everything in their race setup is working just as they were hoping, and perhaps be able to do a couple of practice pit stops before heading out for today's race. But here we have the qualifying results, and as you said, as I said, perhaps that 1 degree of difference making that 1 degree making a difference, maybe not, but Daniel Dinsdale able to take that pole position for SMS. Pretty exciting stuff, and that bonus point that will go along with it. Christian Malkorek almost getting that pole position and just getting it taken at the very last second. Then third, Will Lyon, and starting outside of Will Lyon on the second row will be Jesper Orman, Matthew Levine, Hugo Olsen, Sam Blackwood, Connor Pearson, Andreas Eich, Fredrickson, and you can see everybody else on your screen. Couple of drivers I'm kind of surprised to see lower down. Soranzo again struggling with qualifying, and it's really not the pace that we saw all last season. And so we're hopefully going to find out what it's going to take to get Soranzo back up there in the mix, because he was sure competitive last season. And also Erica Lindstrom and Matthew Turner qualifying outside the top 10, not where I think they would have wanted to be. As you can see on your screen there, Thomas Klessens for Team Spirit Box contacting the wall heavily. I really hope, Julian, they can get that car repaired in time for the race. I mean, oh, and there it is. It's completely repaired. The magic of sim racing. So we can get that information off the screen, and we'll get ready here as we get closer to race. Couple of notes on today's race. It should be, as Julian was mentioning, it will be a lot of strategy throughout. We do expect some of the best strategy drivers in the field who have a lot of experience to be able to perhaps move forward in a day like today. But what it will all come down to is who can adjust that weight jacker These drivers are using the fixed setup that is supplied by iRacing. So this is the same setup that you could go out there and race with right now and load it up. And there's a change to this season where there will only be 80% of the fuel tank that is allowable. So I believe that's 14.8 gallons. Don't quote me, but I think that's 80%. At least I believe that's our number for the league that I run in, that runs 80%. So that will play a factor. We'll get into field windows in a minute, but all of these drivers right now would be going through all of that and just trying to do their checks and trying to make sure that that they're ready for today's race. So with that said, why don't we go ahead and take a look at the driver standings currently as they are. Of course, we've only had one round, so this would reflect that. But Will Lyon, last week's winner, at the top. Hugo Olsen for Powerslide Motorsports there in second, sandwiched by those two SMS Racing drivers, Will Lyon and Matthew Levine. And then we get back to very interesting battle happening with Sam Blackwood and Connor Pearson, teammates for Wyvern Racing, now up into 4th and 5th and making their names known for this season too. Will we see a repeat of their oval capabilities from last season, where we were shocked that they could not end up on the podium or possibly stealing a win? That is a good question. You can see Andreas Eick not getting off to the same type of season that he ended last season with. He finished in 3rd and now shown in 9th. Jesper Orman, he's on an oval today. Last week, no indication of his face. This week, we'll get to see the master at work. Christian Malkarek, same thing. Great driver all around, not really getting the race in that he'd like. And Alexis Newsom, I personally covered a race that Alexis has excelled and won at. It was here at Gateway. So if that doesn't lead you to believe that she knows what she's doing here today, I think you need to go back and learn how to pick the long shots that might end up winning this one, because Alexis, I would put a big highlight circle around that name right there. She could be at the top when this is all over. So here we go. Warm-up is done, and we're going to get the cars out there and start gridding up. At the same time, we can also take a look at the team standings. And as you can see there on your screen, SMS Racing is at the top, and Wyvern Racing already in second place. I have some interesting news from the team. I was told by one of the drivers that they've all agreed if they take the team championship, Wyvern Racing, they will all get tattoos of their team logo on their arms, and we will hold them to that. We'll get the photos. We've got the inside people. So that's exciting stuff. Another reason to potentially root for them.
Yeah, and there's no way to go back now as well, because it's now out on the broadcast too. So
I told them, I asked them if it was okay to broadcast it. They're like, sure. So these are some proud racers, that's for sure. I don't know if I could get Last Lap Motorsports on my arm, but hey, I'll tell you what. Why don't we go ahead and go through the grid, so you can see they're starting on the top position, row 1, Daniel Dinsdale starting alongside Christian Malkarek. Will Lyon will be starting 3rd. We'll be doing a lap of pace here and then getting underway. Or I'm sorry, Will Lyon 3rd, Jesper Orman 4th. Matthew Levine 5th in row 3. Hugo Olsen starting outside. Sam Blackwood and Connor Pearson. Then Ike and Fredrickson, Turner and Lindstrom. Turn the page there for you. Eventually. Klessens and Brennan, Saranzo and Jorfi, and of course the last two are the stewards, so they will not be competing in today's race. We've got 16 drivers. Should be an awesome day of racing. I'm pumped. Julian, you've even got a driver in the field this week. Should be a ton of fun here under the lights at Gateway.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised Oscar is in P10 though. I expected a little bit more. Not putting any pressure on it, but I'm expecting a good race from his side.
Well, I was going to wait for you to say something about it. I'm kind of shocked myself, but qualifying's not everything. Track position means a lot, but qualifying is definitely not everything, and you can certainly work your way up from the back depending on your strategy. Here we go. It's Daniel Dinsdale for SMS Racing leading us down to the green flag. Malcorek settles just behind, and Orman holds third with Will Lyon going side by side on the inside. Orman on the outside, Lyon to the inside, and now Lyon falls back into the clutches of Olsen as Orman makes his move around Malcorek for second.
Still side by side here through turns 3 and 4.
Jesper came up pretty quick on Malcorek there. Hopefully Malcorek saw it coming. There goes Malcorek back down to the inside. Now it's starting to pack up behind as Hugo Olsen makes his move down to the inside, gets a little wiggle. So Malcorek back to third as Dinsdale holds down the top position, and it's Olsen on the inside of Malcorek side by side as they come down the home stretch into one. Exciting stuff here on the opening laps. A lot of movement up at the front as Olsen still trying to work on Malcorek for that position. A very impatient Will Lyon sitting just behind. But still, so far, no problems for this man, Daniel Dinsdale, who has now moved out to a 7/10 of a second lead. Fastest lap of the race, that lap so far. Orman just behind. And now it's still Olsen and Malcorek side by side for third. These two just won't give it up.
Great to see the racing like this. It's very nice to see as well, of course, but this track is very wide in turns 3 and 4, which allows you to race like that. As we are once again going into turns 1 and 2 there side by side with Will Lyon involved there too. Ooh, that was close.
Wow, that was extremely close. Will Lyon pushing up the track almost into Christian Malcorek. I have no idea how they didn't make contact.
Oh, there was a bit of contact actually. Will Lyon's right front hit the side pod of Malcorek there.
Well, fortunately, neither driver taken out of the race. It doesn't look, I mean, Will Lyon now starting to slip back. He's dropped 4 positions since where he started, so possibly the champion and points leader possibly making contact and doing some damage to the car. As we can see up in front, now it's Levine who's making a challenge on Malcorek. There, we're on board with Levine. Malcorek on the outside. Levine being very conservative there. Malcorek, I think, got a little wiggle coming into the corner. He's looking kind of loose up there. He might have a little too much weight jacker on.
Yeah, and you saw that outside line in full effect right there. That's where the clean air usually is at. And it's also the best line for to take care of the tires. So that's why most of the drivers will be wanting to be. As we're seeing some great racing still. But going back to Will Lyon making contact there earlier with Malcorek there. There is a fast repair in this league, so he might be looking to use that in the pit stops to maybe get his car fixed again if there is any damage. Like you said, Trevor, he did step back a little bit, but he's out there making moves again. He just made up a position on Conor Pearson again. So Will Lyon back out there on the move, trying to make up some lost ground. And now he's right behind his teammate too, so maybe he can make a move into turns 1 and 2 here. Let's see. Oh, lifts off. Okay. Wants to save fuel then.
Very much a strategy. The fuel window is about 40 laps without excessive fuel saving, so that basically gives everybody the clean, the clear signal that if it goes green the entire race, it's basically a shootout for everybody. But if there are any yellow flags, that will completely complicate everything in terms of the fuel strategies. So we'll have to keep a watch on that all day long and see who is doing the fuel saving the best. We won't know until we get to right around lap 40. We'll start seeing some of these drivers coming in. Dan Dinsdale has been out by himself out in front thus far. We are working on lap 10. Sorry, working on lap 11 now as we go across the start-finish stripe. Dinsdale has led all 10 laps from the pole in that SMS Racing machine and looking like he belongs out there at the top of this order, just executing it excellently. But again, being out there by himself, not able to do excessive fuel saving, that would come from following another driver, being able to lift at the end of the straightaways and possibly be able to stay in a higher fuel map. So some of these drivers like Orman, who's pushing a lot of air, Olsen now pushing a lot of air as There's now over a second, close to 2 seconds up the road from Hugo Olsen to Jesper Orman. So that is not enough to get a draft back. And here's Malkarek still holding on to 4th spot. He's dropped back 2 spots from where he started, but Malkarek is under fire from SMS Racing, but not flinching thus far. Matthew Levine just behind, and then behind him Will Lyon. So question from SMS Racing is, when do we make our move? How hard do we push to try to get around Christian Malkarek? And do we need that at this stage, or should we just sit back and try some fuel saving? SMS Racing, very clever, and I would not put it past them to just kind of hang back a bit, maybe in fuel map 5 or something like that. Just try and hang on through this first stint.
Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to do, because I'm on board with Will Lyon now for the last few laps, I think.
There, just as we're talking, Matthew Levine going by on the high side. I think Malkarek had a small issue there. Malkarek giving up that position.
Oh, that was very interesting. So what I noticed right there is Matthew Levine went to the inside of the track to try and lure Malkarek to the inside line to open up that outside for Will Lyon to take it, but Malkarek didn't fall for that one, as Will Lyon now goes up the inside for turn 3, and I'm expecting him to make that move stick. But quickly going back to the fuel numbers here too, like you said, 14.8 gallons, US gallons that is, that equals to 56 liters for the Europeans under us. So yeah, just putting that out there too.
Thank you.
56 liters. About 40 laps, as you mentioned. You could probably stretch it to 45 if you really save, which is probably what these SMS drivers are trying to do right now, to go as long as possible or maybe get lucky with a yellow. Because like I was explaining earlier, if the yellow falls at the right time or at the bad time for you, then you could lose or gain a full lap or even 2 laps on the rest of the field. So it's important to go as long as possible. But of course, the tire will also be quite significant, so it's important to be on top of both, which will be incredibly difficult here today, but I'm sure these drivers will manage. But it just plays into that strategy aspect, which we've been talking about a few times already here tonight.
Absolutely. All these strategies going through their heads, and then on your screen you can see this battle. 6 positions covered just by a couple of seconds. It's Oscar Fredrickson at the center of our screen now. He's sandwiched by he's sandwiched by Connor Pearson and Sam Blackwood. And oh my goodness, Fredrickson really getting some oversteer coming off of turn 2. Very easy to do when you're jacked up on that weight jacker. That right rear wants to snap around on you.
Yeah, exactly. But Oscar knows how to wheel his car around, though. He is from Sweden, so they've got pretty cold winters. I think he knows how to drive on ice, so it's easy to catch cars for him. But what a great save by Oscar there out of turn 2.
Absolutely excellent save. These drivers earning their money today. Not easy to do at a track like this. And it just all comes down to the setup and how you use it, what its tendencies are. Again, this is the standard iRacing default setup, so these drivers would have had a chance to practice with this pretty extensively, learn how to adjust that weight jacker. But one of the problems is not being able to get in that pack and really test it out with a draft and following other cars into the corners and trying to battle everybody really hard on the inside. That may be somewhere where if you have a great teammate who wants to do a lot of practices with you, you can work on that stuff together.
Yeah, exactly. That helps overall in the race as well, just so you know what the car is going to do. But I just saw Oscar a lap ago get really close to Sam Blackwood in front of him as they're still battling over P8. As Oscar goes to the outside here now, trying to make it work, but not able to do so. Like I was just saying earlier as well, the clean air will be on the outside line, and also the tire life will be extended there on that high side as well, because you're simply putting less wheel into the car, so the tires will be doing some less work than you might be doing on the inside of the track. And also there is progressive banking in turns 1 and 2 at Gateway here. The inside of the track is banked very low. I'm not sure about the exact number there, but the high side is definitely higher banked. So going back to what I was saying, that saves the tires quite a bit, as Sam Blackwood is now getting really close to Connor Pearson ahead of his teammate.
So definitely getting close to the back, and fortunately, I don't know if this is going to work out for Oscar, because he seems to be, he's gained a spot, but he just can't seem to get the ability to make that pass, and it's such a struggle. So we see he's just holding on, though, and this is part of it, is right, Julian? I mean, you do a lot of racing in these IR-18 IndyCars. You just got to hang in there. If you got a strategy, you don't know what the guys in front are going to actually do. They may have a struggle. You just got to keep your head down. If you're like Oscar here, and you may not be able to make that pass right now, but maybe later in the race, later in the stint, it'll come to you.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about the patience, especially in these oval races. It's a long race, 160 laps. I'm not sure how long that race distance is. It might be 300 kilometers or something, as Oscar looks to the inside now. But oh
my!
Somebody went off.
That, I believe, was Connor Pearson, and Connor Pearson is in the wall. We were just talking about Oscar, and I don't think that is the way that he wanted to try that. Let's take a closer look. If we can. It probably was.
Yeah, big netcode, actually.
So Oscar Fredrickson pulls to the inside, and it's close to a foot away, and unfortunately, I don't mean to laugh, because unfortunately Connor Pearson got the worst of that, but sad to say, that is the result of netcode, and that's just one of those factors that comes in and plays a role. So you can see this just one more time from onboard Connor. This is what he saw. They exit turn 4. Falls in behind. And we've got a lot of drivers coming into the pits. We'll get to that in just a moment. And so I guess actually it was more like a lap later. So here into turn 1, and there you can see nothing that Connor could do. It's like somebody threw a turtle shell at him from way back in the pack, and well, that's what you get. It's not Mario Kart. You can't just hit refresh. Unfortunately, you got to bring it into the pits and somehow and get that thing repaired. So we go back to the live picture, and Pearson on pit road. But we look at who's in the lead, and it is David Soranzo for NSH Racing. He elected not to come in that lap, and so took over the lead and will get credit for leading the lap. And then it pretty much looks like everybody stayed about the same in terms of where they came out from the pits.
Yeah, many people pitted, though, for fresh tires. That's what they're trying to do. I think they've got 4 sets of tires. Is that correct?
Yes, 4 sets beyond the initial set that they're given. So it's really quite flexible. I mean, you can't, if there's a lot of cautions, you won't be able to bring it in that often. But, you know, nonetheless, I mean, that's plenty of sets. And honestly, that should give you a fresh enough set of tires. If you took 4, that I don't think tire degradation, especially in this temperature, would be enough of a factor that you'd want more. In other words, let's say you went through all 4 of them, and then there's like 5 laps to go. I don't think there's really much of a point to come in at that point to get new tires, just because of the temperature and the fall off. But we'll see. If everybody's been out there racing for really, really hard for a long time, I mean, I guess that's why they give different strategies like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I think towards the end of the race, you want to have as many tires as available to you, because you never know how many restarts there might be. Mm-hmm. And to have the fresher tires on those restarts will definitely help you, because people on the older tires will be going to the high side, especially to try and take care of their tires. And if you've got newer tires, you are able to go a little bit lower, and maybe you can pull off a pass there, because nobody's going to be driving there. So it might be a little bit easier for you. But looking at David Soranzo right now, he is up 14 spots. So he is definitely the one that stayed out. I think the top 4 stayed out, top 5 stayed out actually. So they are all trying to go long and get some track position. But we are 29 laps into this thing, so about 3/4 into the fuel stint. And I think that's probably the main reason why the majority of the field decided to come into the pits.
Well, it's all down to how your tires feel at the end of this one. There's no alternate compounds. There's no other real tricks you can play. It is a fixed setup, so you can't do a lot on the pit stops. You can't change the starting pressures or any of that kind of stuff. So you're kind of stuck with what they're going to give you. But nonetheless, opportunities to take those fresh tires, and you certainly wouldn't want to be caught out at the end of this. Like if you have been racing for 20, 30 laps, you would not want to be stuck out there with 5 or 6 or 7 to go and everybody behind you coming in for fresh tires. So even if you didn't want to, probably everybody else does, and so you've got to be aware of that. Now, Soranzo did not come in whatsoever, so he's still on old tires and old fuel, but he'll lead us back to the green flag in first place. Second is Daniel Dinsdale, third Orman, and fourth Olsen, fifth Matthew Levine, SMS Racing. And not seeing too much side-by-side action at the moment. Everybody kind of holding steady. I think just getting up to speed, and we'll start to see some passing here in just a second as everybody gets those tires up to temp. And there is Dinsdale coming back in. Must have had a penalty, or perhaps didn't get those settings right coming into the pits. That's really unfortunate for Dinsdale. Unfortunate to take a look there at the SMS Racing driver qualifying on the pole and having some sort of a penalty at the moment. Perhaps didn't hold for the speeding penalty, or tough to tell, but having to hold there on pit road. He's not taking any fuel or anything, so must be just serving the penalty. That is a rough one, Julian. Qualify on the pole, and then I've certainly done it plenty of times, get that speeding penalty, and it's pretty much game over, because now Dinsdale's going a lap down, possibly 2 laps down by the time he gets back out, and that's not easy to make up.
Yeah, and now he's going to really compromise his strategy as well, because now he's going to be trying to stay out when everybody else is going to pit to hopefully get lucky with a yellow. But really, to come back on what you said, his race is probably over in terms of being in contention for a good finish. He might be able to get something out of it, but it won't be for the top paying positions. So that's a massive shame. I also want to correct myself what I said earlier. Soranzo is the only one that pitted. Everybody else did not pit. Everybody else pitted.
Everybody else pitting, and so of course that keeps everybody on the same strategy pretty much, with the exception of Soranzo, who managed to get the top position just through not pitting. So we'll see how that one works out. He'll have to come in here probably in about another 15 laps anyway, 15, 16 laps to get fuel, but we'll wait and see. It's the best moment of the season for David Soranzo, currently in the lead. But just as I say that, it's Orman to the inside, Orman with those fresher tires. So we've been, what, 5 laps since the end of the, or 4 laps since the end of the caution. So definitely 4 laps in is when those tires get up to temp, and make a note of that for the end of the race.
Yeah, and notice how Orman is on the inside as well, like I was just saying. The people on the older tires will be on the outside trying to protect their tires as much as they can, but Orman now on the inside, still going side by side. So this has been going on for a lap already, which is impressive and good to see. But Orman's gonna make this move quickly though, because he doesn't want to burn his tires on the inside there to turns 1 and 2. Because like I was explaining a few moments ago, the banking on the inside is much lower than on the outside, so it wears off the tires quicker. But Orman able to pull off the pass there, and he goes into the lead. Let's see if Olsen can get by Soranzo as well.
That would be the next one up. And it's not really fair to David Soranzo. He's got much older tires, having to try to hold position up there. What Soranzo would really be hoping for is to go maybe like 15 or so laps, still end up in the top 5, and then have a yellow come out and have everybody else come back into the pits, and then he will have climbed his way up. Unfortunately, the way that these things usually work is once you start falling through the field, you usually fall like a rock when everyone else has pitted already. So there goes Hugo to the inside as expected. So move Olsen up into second. Not so fast. Soranzo says, I'm not done yet. Don't Don't count me out yet. I'm not done. I'm holding on, Soranzo says for second.
Yep, he's got him back too, so
Well,
still putting up a good fight.
I tell you what, I don't know what it took not hitting to get up there, but I think now we're starting to see some fight out of Soranzo. We haven't seen it in the qualifying, we haven't seen it in the race yet, but now we're getting to see some fight out of the Frenchman. I was just going to make mention, as Hugo Olsen had just gotten by, that it was 2 Swedish drivers up there in the top 2 positions. Well, of course,
Yellow.
oh,
Caution.
we do have a caution. Trying to see who it is. It looks like Ike. Is it Andreas Ike?
Yep, he is involved in it. Might have been a self spin out of 2, maybe got loose.
Not really sure. Our software not really giving us a clear indicator. Let's see if we can, we'll jump back here and see Matthew Turner passing Andreas Ike. Oh, and that's what happened. Erika Lindstrom right into the back of Andreas Ike. We're going to back it up on the screen and take a look at this one. We'll look at it from Erika's point of view. Erika now in the pits. So we'll go back to... Oh, fortunately, we lost that, but we'll go back here one more time and take a look. From Erika's point of view. So headed into the corner, turn 1, and Ike just gets loose in front. I don't know if Erika was just following Ike into the corner, and Ike definitely got loose on that. So, I mean, it's hard to. We're not here to establish fault. That's what the stewards are for sure. But hard to really blame Erika if Ike gets that loose headed into the corner.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if I agree with you, Trevor, here, because when I went on board with Ike here in the cockpit, his steering wheel didn't really look like he got loose, so I think he just hit the bump there in turn 1. So to me, it kind of looks like, I don't want to use NASCAR terms, but I'm going to do it anyway. I think Erika just dumped Ike here in turn 1.
Interesting. Well, Erika got the worst, well, second worst of that situation. Bent suspension, tire flopping all over the place, and headed into the pits. And now, of course, we go to the live picture, and Erika is in the pits. Looks like Ike took service, able to get back out there, still on the lead lap for the Team Talent driver. All of Ike's fans going to be happy to see that not terribly affected, as Ike now forced to look over at the green, white, and black machine and wonder what exactly happened to drop kick him up into the corner. But he'll have to take a look at that one at the end and assess how he feels about it. In the meantime, Ike really has not been having the type of race and honestly season so far, just getting into this second race. But I mean, he really has not had the season that we're so accustomed to seeing out of Andreas. Currently sitting 14th right now, 5 positions lost on the day. Of course, that accident didn't help, but unfortunate circumstances for Ike, who we're used to seeing up there in the top 5, and looks like it won't be his day again. And we go back up to the lead, and this time, and this was exactly what I was talking about as far as what Soranzo wanted, because now Soranzo has taken that pit stop. He's the freshest on the new tires. It gave him a chance to get in ahead of everyone else behind him, who also took fuel and tires. Oscar Fredrickson, Matthew Turner, Erika Lindstrom, of course, coming in, and Danny Brennan, Andreas Ike, Anna Jorfi coming in as well. Daniel Dinsdale and Pearson are both still a lap down. So, by Soranzo sticking out there, now finds himself up into 8th and at the lead of the drivers that have now pitted lap 41 versus lap 26 on all of the drivers ahead of them. So, this is where we start to see that split in strategy, and I'm so glad that I have you here, Julian. You're young, you do all that math really, really well. You'll keep track of it all for us, right?
Trust me, my math isn't that strong, but anyways, so yeah, Soranzo did a great strategy call right there. He was in the back at the start of the race, and by staying out, he made up some lost ground that he lost in qualifying by not setting a very competitive lap time. So he's made the most of that up right now. So that's good. That was probably the point of what his strategy was. And yeah, like you said, he's got the freshest tires now out of the people that pitted now. So and he's the first car in line. So he is the first car in line to really get through these guys as well. Because the guys that are ahead of him, which are the top 7 now, they will be on tires that are, let me quickly look, 15 laps older than his are. So there will be a bit of an advantage. And we saw Soranzo hold on very well on his old tires there. But of course, Soranzo knows how to defend. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how he can carve his way through the field. And as I think we're coming up to the green flag here, so gonna be interesting to see what he can do on this restart here.
Well, it's like old times again. Jesper Orman back in the lead for Three Crowns Racing, and Hugo Olsen just behind for Powerslide Motorsports. Olsen drops the hammer as well as Orman. We'll see who's going to end up in the lead of this one before too long. And just behind, don't look now, but it's 2 SMS Racing driver teammates of Matthew Levine and Will Lyon who are headed their way towards the front. And we'll see also what they can do. Meanwhile, Christian Malkrek able to really recover a little bit and get into 5th spot. Solid run for him happening at the moment. And we watch a little bit further back. I think that's, well, it was Oscar Fredrickson taking a look for a second on David Soranzo. Fredrickson now to the high side. Not able to get that one done.
Yep, and now he just falls back under pressure from Turner behind him.
So this battle happening for 9th place. Turner for the Three Crowns Racing with IAR team. And these are 2 kind of classic teams I'm getting used to seeing in a lot of different broadcasts. I'm seeing that IAR Three Crowns Racing next to the VOR a lot. But it's fun to see all these different drivers participating with their teams. Erica not in the championship last season, but now here in the PMRL this season. That green, I love green, you know, part of my name obviously, but I race in the green color as well. Always cool to see someone out there with bright green paint job. You're not going to miss it. Like you look up here at the blimp, see which one you can pick out. Yep, it's that bright green one right there. It's my favorite part of it. So, but Erica, our sole Finnish driver running today, and he's having to recover from an earlier incident with Andreas Eick, currently shown in 11th. And just behind there, Andreas Eick, as I mentioned, just recovering from that incident with Erica. Hopefully not too damaged. Doesn't look like Erica is suffering permanent damage from that incident, but Erica kind of giving a lot of room there, making sure that Eick has plenty of room to pass. I think that's kind of a give back right there, personally.
Yeah, might be. But Eick is on a decent charge right now, though. He's already made up about 4 positions since the drop of the green flag on this restart. So Eick is on a good recovery drive right now. Now he's got Turner up ahead to try and get by. So let's see how he can progress through this field. He's got lost ground to make up, of course, after that incident. So I'm sure Andreas, being one of the younger drivers in the field, he's got some aggression as well, and perhaps some anger from that incident as well to fire him up some more, as he's looking to the inside now for the clean air on Turner up ahead, onto the backstretch.
You know, you would think, well, Andreas is really one of those cool and calm drivers. You just don't ever see him getting involved in any of these battles or spats on or off the track, and it's always interesting to see where Andreas ends up, because he never really causes too many problems in any of these races. Very consistent, but again, kind of struggling. We're not used to seeing him outside of the top 10, and but that just kind of speaks to the quality of this field. He's trying again on Matthew Turner. That's what's so great about this track. Side by side here, down into turn 1. Looks like he'll take Turner. And Turner gonna stay on the high side. That was very close.
Yeah, and I got a little bit loose out of turn 2 as well there as the banking dropped off. So Eick's tires are probably starting to go off a little bit here, so he's got to make sure that he at least gets a sniff of the outside. He doesn't want to run the inside for too much longer, because his tires will be feeling the effects of that. If not soon, he will be feeling it right now, and he's still running down there. So it's quite surprising to see that, but maybe he knows something that we don't. But from my personal experience, the inside line isn't very good here at Gateway, as he goes for the inside here in 3 and 4.
Well, and up at the front, we've had a change of the lead. It's Hugo Olsen now to the front for Power Slide Motorsports. We're going to jump back and see if we can catch that pass. Looks like Orman just did not have the run coming off of turn 2, and it was Olsen who was able to sneak by with that one. So Olsen now out in front, and that will now put Orman back into the clutches of Matthew Levine and Will Lyon. Probably just a matter of time until those two make their move headed forward. But we'll jump back to take a look at this battle back here between Soranzo and Thomas Klessens for Team Spirit Box. And right now, I think Soranzo is now in 8th place. That's where he started this stint with, but starting to feel it again. Now moving forward, trying to get by, and on the inside into turn 1, it's Soranzo with a really deep run there. Kind of runs up the track a little bit. Not able to take Klessens, but as we've been seeing, they'll try this lap after lap after lap, try different lines, and, well, eventually something's got to stick. So we go back and take a look here in 5th spot. This is from onboard Sam Blackwood of Wyvern Racing. And as I mentioned earlier, Wyvern really coming forward and performing well in the field. First race at Road America, and really a great concerted team effort between himself and Connor Pearson. And then here, Connor and Sam right up there in the fight for this top 5 position. Sam right now staring at the back of Christian Malkorek, the sole driver for Spark VR Last Lap Motorsports. And Christian can still see the front, so can Sam. So it's anybody's fight here, anybody's race. Hope you're enjoying it there at home in 4K, or at the office, or on your mobile phone, on the train, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing. Hopefully you can get it up there at the pub on the big screen for everybody to watch as Blackwood dives down the inside of Malkorek on the backstretch. They go through turn 3 side by side. And this is what you were saying, Julian. You can hang out on the outside, get that run off the corner, and possibly still hold your position on the track as they're side by side headed down into 1. And Malkorek way up the track there. Blackwood struggling off the corner. Malkorek dives back to the inside. And he'll retake. They're so close together, side by side, off of turn 4. Malkorek dives in behind Blackwood.
Yeah, and Blackwood set that up the lap before. He tried to go to the outside on the backstretch to get the outside for turns 1 and 2. And right there, you saw him go to the outside there again to get the momentum off the corner and properly get that position. Alice Malkorek's under pressure from, who's that? That's Soranzo, I think that is. Is that?
Soranzo is coming up just behind now, but that was,
who was that? A left car maybe?
yeah, that would have had to be Daniel Dinsdale for SMS Racing, who's just in front now. I kind of thought that was Will Lyon or Matthew Levine. I'm like, wow, how'd they get back there? But of course, it's their other teammate.
Yeah, had me confused for a second as well there, by the way. But Anne Jurfy hit the wall on lap 54, by the way, so she's gone into the pits and got some damage repaired. She's back out there as well, but she's multiple laps down now, 2 laps in fact, running in P16 at the moment, so not the best of days for her, unfortunately.
No, Jorfy new to the series. Great to have her with us. She was competitive at Road America. She qualified 16th here, but was racing pretty well earlier on, and now we're seeing someone else involved in an incident. And I'm looking to see who it is. It looks like it's Thomas Klessens. Let's see if we can figure this one out. We're with Thomas Klessens here go on board, and he just gets so loose coming off of turn 2. It looked like he was just going to run up on the back of Erica Lindstrom. I'm not sure what, if we could just back up on the screen, we'll take a look at Erica and see. Erica had someone on the high side, number 3 car, well, just happening just behind was that big incident. So that will bring out our yellow, our third caution on the day. And now these drivers would have already probably taken tires. We don't have an actual count of everybody and how many tire sets they've actually taken, but everybody probably taking tires thus far on each one of the pit stops that they would have done. And so these drivers, Olsen, Jesper Orman, Matthew Levine, Will Lyon, all of them heading into the pits as they all had last stopped on lap 26. So we'll get those.
And this is... Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just saying we'll get that graphic up there so everybody can kind of follow along with what stop everybody, or what lap everybody came in. But this is everybody coming in so far except for Soranzo and Andreas Eick.
Yeah, so they will be trying to gain some track position back, like Soranzo did on the previous few pit cycles there. But this basically, apart from the top 2, of course, is going to reset the pit strategy for everybody else again. Because we had some different strategies involved earlier on that last yellow, but that's all going to be eliminated again now, unfortunately for us. It takes away some of the interest in that aspect, but still, we have a long way to go here. Lap 67 of 160 at the moment, so still 93 laps to go. So plenty of time to maybe develop some more strategies or just some flat-out racing, which is, of course, either way we want to see. So, yeah, long way to go.
We want to see a photo finish right across the line. We want to see 10 cars all covering 1 second across the line. So, and 3 different fuel strategies. Will we get that photo finish? It's possible. It's kind of shaping up interesting and sorry for cutting you off there, Julian. But just looking at the laps now, when they go back to green, should be in another couple of laps. And then drivers are going to have to save at least 5 laps per stint in order to be able to make it to the end on just one more stop. So this is going to get to be a crazy fuel save race for some. And for others, they're going to try to go out there and go as fast as they can and try and possibly lap a driver who might be in a heavy fuel save. So we might see some drivers going very, very slowly on the track, fuel saving aggressively, and then we might still see some other drivers going as fast as they can to try to make up that time difference of having to take another pit stop, or possibly put those other drivers a lap down so that if a yellow does come out again, they're trapped a lap down, and essentially they'll be able to gain an advantage that way. But you gotta love these fuel strategies and how they work out. Soranzo and Eick coming in on lap 41. Pretty much everyone else lap 66 until we get back to Danny Brennan. No, I'm sorry, until we get back to Daniel Dinsdale, who stopped on lap 30 and is currently shown 2 laps down. So of the drivers that are now laps down, it's 2 laps to Dinsdale, Pearson, and Jorfi, with Klessens now out, and he is the only driver that is shown out of the race.
Yeah, Dinsdale's actually 1 lap down. He's the 4th car in line behind the pace car. So I think by staying out, he's trying to get one of his laps back, which is, of course, going to be very important here at Gateway. Because if the yellow falls at the right time, when you might be getting one of those laps back, you could end up back on the lead lap, which will be pretty much a holy being or holy moment for him in this race if that happens. But of course, that's yet to be seen here today. But it can happen, and that's what he's probably aiming for as well.
So we watch from on board Soranzo, who has taken over the lead again, and again, just trying some of that crazy, just stay out there strategy. It worked the first time. Why not do it again? See if you can hold the top position, see if the yellows fall in your favor. So great to have you joining us over the YouTube chat room. Thank you, Nikyle, for joining us. And tight field, great racing. Hope you're enjoying it. 4K. Also, Thomas Christensen checking in with us, letting us know that unfortunately he wasn't able to join the field today, and neither was Alexis. So two of the drivers that I had hoped would be in the field and I would put my circle around, unfortunately not able to be in it today. But we'll look forward to getting them back in the field next week. In the meantime, it's Soranzo back to green. He's got Andreas Eick just behind. Soranzo will have already gotten that bonus point for leading, so now it's Eick, who I'm sure would love to take that extra point. Never know if that's going to help out at the end of the season. Always good to stack those up. Olsen there in third, and Jesper Orman in fourth. And Will Lyon and Matthew Levine for SMS Racing just behind. Sam Blackwood recovering to 7th spot, which is where he qualified. Oscar Fredrickson back into 8th, up 2 spots on the day, as we see side by side there between Olsen and a lap car. I believe that's Connor Pearson. And Orman just behind. So we go on board with Orman as he works around the lap car. Unfortunately for Pearson, it does appear as though he's off the pace today.
Perhaps some damage for him.
Yeah, definitely damage left over. They don't always get the car fixed right. So it's when you leave the pits, you're always just checking to see, am I able to get fully up to speed? Does the car steer correctly? All of that. We look back for Jesper Orman, and he's dropping the two SMS teammates kind of quickly. I think they got held up a little bit by Connor. And just in front, it's Hugo Olsen. So these two only separated by about 0.4 of a second. Still anybody's battle for third place, but of course in front of them it is Andreas Eick, who, as I was just mentioning a moment ago, was not having the race of his dreams, but now has gotten back up there into second place through some fuel strategy. So Eick looking to convert that short run strategy into position here on the track. And we'll see if he can, now that we're getting to be close to about 4 laps since our last caution, 4 or 5 laps, now we're going to start to see those new tires start to really show up, and won't be long until Olsen comes calling.
Yeah, and these guys are going nuts in the midfield, by the way. I just saw Oscar get boxed in between Blackwood and, who was that again? Connor Pearson. So these guys are racing very hard out there, and Connor Pearson also trying his best to help his teammate out there as much as he can, within limit, of course. But Oscar right now behind Sam Blackwood, and these guys are indirect teammates in VUR, by the way. Gary runs one of the teams there where Sam's part of with Gavin as well. Gavin Sanders, so they're both the team captains, I guess. But yeah, these guys know how to race each other, as Lindstrom gets around turn as well in the background. But these guys are kicking it off here today.
Oh my, and we're watching on screen there as Oscar Fredrickson tries low again on a Wyvern Racing car. I think he's got orange and blue fixation, just trying to get down to the low side. And as you mentioned, Gary, the great Gary Godso, he'll be joining me tomorrow in the iRacing NTT IndyCar Series fixed race. Should be very exciting, although it is Chicagoland, so who knows how that's going to turn out. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel here at VirtualRacing.Network, and you'll get notified of tomorrow's race. While you're at it, you can hit that like button, do us all a favor, and help to spread the message of VirtualRacing.Network. As we are coming up on halfway here, just another couple of laps, we will be over the halfway mark. It's currently David Soranzo leading on fuel strategy, and now Hugo Olsen has managed to get around Andreas Eick. Olsen's up 4 spots from where he started, and we can see Eick there just holding off Orman. Eick is up 6 spots. The real climber on the day, Soranzo, with that fuel strategy right now, 14 spots gained. And there we're taking a look at Orman, who's still trying to work on the backside of Andreas Eick and find how to dive to the inside or the outside for that position. But he'll get there eventually, I'm sure of it. unless it turns into another David Soranzo, I'm not going anywhere situation. Will Lyon in 5th and Matthew Levine, teammate just behind. These two have sat nose to tail and come up and down the order numerous times, as we see Orman now really getting close to the backside of Ike. Just not quite able to take a look yet. Ike fighting really, really hard to keep his machine in front, and that has allowed SMS Racing to close up to the back of Orman, and you can be sure that Will Lyon is going to be really sizing up the risk-reward factor here. The championship is on the line. Still early, but you got to think like that. Why take 10th or 11th and crash out of this one when you could just settle for 2nd or 3rd?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
Orman
probably
did by Ike, by the way.
Orman did get by Ike, indeed. Ike dropping back now into 4th and now into the clutches of Will Lyon. Again, Will Lyon, Matthew Levine, Sam Blackwood, all these drivers stopping on lap 66, so having much, much fresher tires.
Yeah, and when Soranzo and Ike stayed out, they were kind of in a bit of a bubble. The two cars were able to drive in front for quite some time before the cars with fresher tires were able to get by them, to kind of burst their bubble a little bit there. And of course, Ike is paying the price for that right now, as he's just dropped two positions, as he's racing with Will Lyon as well now, losing another position. But Soranzo still holding onto that lead right now, which is very impressive, I have to say. So good on him for being able to do that. But Ike definitely starting to drop down the field right now.
Absolutely not. I mean, it's exactly what we were saying was probably going to happen. But again, it's all part of the gamble of choosing track position over fresh tires. You've got to plan it out how you want to do it. And again, it could come down to the fact that they just want to take their tires at the very end. They want to save a pit stop or two for the very end and not have to worry about whether they'll have fresh tires at the end of this one. But Ike holding on and separating out the SMS teammates, and I'm sure with their strategy of sticking together, SMS is going to want to try to form around the front. As you mentioned, Soranzo, though, up at the front, doing a heck of a good job holding position here and able to do so with older tires significantly. So finding that great long-term pace, holding right about a second on Hugo Olsen. Can Soranzo hang on with these used tires and somehow eke out the podium finish? He looks like he's got the pace to do so today.
Yeah, we've seen it earlier on in the race as well. When he stayed out for the first time, he was able to hold on to the lead for quite some time too. So he knows how to get his way around, to go around this place on old tires. So the gap is coming down a little bit now to Hugo Olsen. But, oh, actually, that's a lead change right there. What happened? Oh, Soranzo coming down into the pits then.
Right, Soranzo coming into the pits. This is something we haven't really talked about, but this pit entry, really kind of tricky. It comes up fast. It's caught so many people out, and you got to get it down to that, I think, right around 72, 73 kilometers an hour, and just so tricky to do when you are so used to going so fast on the track and get down, stopped into your box exactly right on the marks. But as you mentioned, Soranzo pulling it in now gives the lead over to Hugo Olsen, and with Jesper Orman behind and Will Lyon there in 3rd, that is 3 different teams represented in the top 3. So on lap 89, it's Hugo Olsen to the lead. Jesper Orman about 1.4 seconds back. And then Will Lyon is far less than a second, about only, it's getting even closer, about 0.6, now coming down to 0.5 a second or so. Back to Will Lyon. So possibly Will have something to say about this one before too long as he continues to gain here.
Yep. I just pitted as well, by the way.
And so there you go with Soranzo and Ike paying close attention to what their times are on the track, and they're going to be watching for when their times are starting to fall off And when they know in their mind, they have a number, they know what lap they need to get to, and they also know when it is no longer advantageous to try to meet that number. So they're going to be watching to see when the car really starts to go away on them on those longer stints. And again, some of this may be a little reactionary with everyone else coming in for fresher tires, able to do faster laps. You really don't want to lose too much time if you start going backwards, and so you may have to pull that trigger sooner rather than later to get onto a preferred strategy for the end of this one. But back to the race at the front. It is Hugo Olsen in first, up 5 positions today. Here's Jesper Orman in second of 2 spots. It's a Swedish one too, and a Scot just behind in third, with Will Lyon, who has already shown he knows what he's doing on road courses with the new tire that iRacing has delivered to these Dallara IR-18s for the road courses. And back in the good old IR-18 on the ovals with the oval compound, Will's just pretty much picking up where he left off in season 1. Right now running in third and trying to chase down the leaders just in front.
Yeah, just the battle between the lap cars here. Daniel Dinster got around and Jorfi for P13. But I also quickly want to point out something on the strategy that we've just been talking about. I know that we want to move on to the race, but I wanted to put this out there. So the last pit lap for all the leaders was lap 66. If we're estimating the 40-lap pit window to be through on the fuel, then you're going to go to 106. And then 146. So of course you're gonna be able to you have to make 2 more stops. What Ike and Saranza just did is they pitted. You've got 70 laps to go. That's inside the pit window, so they have to make 1 more fuel stop. Everybody else around them has to make 2. So basically, if this race goes green, Saranza and Ike are gonna win. It's that easy.
That's how quickly it can turn. That's why you got to be adaptive. That's why you got to keep several different strategies and numbers in your head to know when the proper time is to make that pit stop and be able to make it to the end. And as you said, I mean, so basically they probably would have been looking at their lap times to see when the fall off was, but knowing that they could have come in as early as 10 laps earlier and still made the pit window, they basically had some time to make that decision before exactly coming in. So we'll see how it all works out in the end. An extra yellow would really throw some things on its ear, but here with green flag running, it is Hugo Olsen and Jesper Orman who have been basically up in the front for most of the race and currently are showing well right now. And should this one finish with some yellows, we'll probably end up at the front, but long ways to go. And by the way, speaking of Oscar Fredrickson in the Velocity Online Racing car, now currently in 5th spot, up 5 positions today. It's looking pretty good out there.
Yes, I'm loving those numbers right now. I want to see him in P1 though, that would be the best. But he's doing a very solid job at the moment, Oscar that is. Driving in P5, like you said, up 5 positions. Oscar knows how to drive these ovals. He's been racing in VUR, my own league, Velocity Racing, for well over a year by now. He's been racing with us since the old tire model, so he knows how to get his way around these ovals. He knows how to be patient, how to draft his strategy, and he knows how to get a very solid result out of his races. He even knows how to win ovals. So, gonna be interesting to see what he can do towards the end of this one. But he's definitely a driver to keep in mind as the night goes on. So, yeah, looking good out there.
Slowly making progress on Matthew Levine in front. Matthew Levine getting held up as we've got a 3-way battle now for second place. We look back from Jesper Orman, it's just 0.3 of a second back to Will Lyon, and then behind Will Lyon, it is, of course, teammate Matthew Levine. Just behind that, Oscar Fredrickson. So this train quickly coming together. We might see some passing here in just a moment between, and also Orman staying really close to, still only about 1.5 seconds back from Olsen. So it's, as far as these leaders go on their strategy, it's still really anybody's race. That is pretty exciting to see here as we're over 100 laps into this one. But you settle in for these long periods, Julian. I mean, you do these long races of 160 laps, you can't afford to fall asleep. You got to stay awake. You got to keep adjusting that weight jacker, stay on top of the balance. Make sure that you're not letting other drivers get an advantage by accidentally going too high on the track, too low, being in the wrong weight jacker position. You gotta constantly be watching, because even though it may seem like it's settled down, second, third, fourth, fifth, anything can change at any moment. You might have to steer around a crash. Anything can happen. Keep your head on your shoulders at all times if you're these drivers.
Yeah, exactly, and especially the bump out of turn 2, the banking fall off in turn 2, I meant to say, is very significant, so keeping on top of those in-car adjustments is going to be very important. But about a lap ago, Marquardt got around Turner, and Ike just went around both of them as well to get a lap back on them at least, as Marquardt and Turner are still going side by side through turn 2 now. Marquardt on the outside holds on to that position. Again, holding on to that outside like we've been mentioning countless times already here today. Or tonight, I should say, for the Europeans, as this is a European league, but today for the Americans. But Marquardt doing a good job right now to hold on to P7, but he is definitely feeling the pressure from Turner. Matthew, who just passed a few moments ago, but I think Matthew is lifting and saving some fuel, so he's going to try at least to make it on one more stop. It will be difficult though, because he's got to save 15 laps in 2 fuel stints. It will be incredibly difficult to do, but these guys know what they're doing. If I can find my English here, these 3 Crown drivers know how to win IndyCar races. They're a very experienced group of drivers, so they can manage. But it will just be interesting to see how they can execute those strategies.
Well, Turner down to the inside on Christian Marquardt, and there you see. Who is that just came up out of nowhere? One of the SMS Racing drivers, I believe, possibly Dinsdale. They're coming up out of nowhere.
It is Dinsdale, yes.
As these two are side by side, Dinsdale down 2 laps at the moment. Is he 2 or 1 lap down? But currently, these two fighting it out for 8th place on the track. Actually, 7th place on the track. Marquardt not really. I mean, he's had some rough luck in season 1 and didn't really get the finish he wanted yesterday, or excuse me, last week in Road America. And so Marquardt definitely looking just, I'm being serious here, would just love to get a top 10, maybe even a top 5. He qualified second. Don't get me wrong, he's a very fast driver. He'd love to get up there, get a podium, and be interviewed. But as you see Turner getting by, I think Marquardt is just taking it as it comes, race by race, trying to improve, trying to get a handle on the IR-18 IndyCar, and he's facing some really top competition in the Prime Meridian Racing League with Hugo Olsen, Jesper Orman. I mean, you just look at their iRating numbers, and Marquardt with just 1,342 iRating, looks like he's going to pull it into the pits here. But 1,342 iRating compared to Olsen and Orman with 5,275 and 5,359 respectively. I mean, it's clearly a very large disparity in experience on ovals. But again, he's part of my team at Last Lap Motorsports, and he's just trying to grow his understanding of the car, build, and continue to improve in his results. So everybody kind of has their own challenge out here. As we can see, Will Lyon and Jesper Orman now side by side for second place on track. Orman hanging on the outside, able to keep the position. And Lyon now choosing to bring it into the pits with teammate Matthew Levine just behind. So they're probably doing exactly what you're talking about by electing to come in now, and they should be able to make it. See, we're on lap 112, so they're still going to be a bit short and have to do some fuel saving on the back end of this one.
Yeah, it will be incredibly difficult for them to do this. I think Ike and Sorrento are in prime position to make use of this strategy and do it effectively as well. So I think they are the likely candidates to get a good result here today. But of course, the yellows might come out as well, which of course we hope they don't. But maybe to spice up the strategy, we might need them. But for the sake of the brilliance of Ike and Soranzo's strategy, I hope it doesn't come out, because it will just be a dream scenario for them if it didn't. But still, long ways to go still. I think we've got 45 laps to go, about that number. So, yeah, who knows with the yellows?
Who knows? We can make the predictions all we want, but we see Sam Blackwood now bringing the Wyvern Racing machine down pit road. And I think it's just exciting to see all these different strategies getting a chance to converge. It really gives you a chance to play that wild card and take an early pit stop, stay out an extra lap, just see what it would do. You know, of course, in real life racing, Dale Coyne Racing and numerous other teams that typically don't get a chance to run at the front, they employ that to very great success. And here it looks like some drivers, you see Orman now coming into pit road, and Hugo Olsen also just about to make his pit stop. Like he got very close to that wall out there.
Orman looked a little bit risky on the pit entry to me, if he maybe crossed the yellow line or on the entrance. So we got to watch him if he doesn't get a black flag for that. But these guys are all still 4 laps away from the pit window. So they have to save quite a bit of fuel to be able to make it to the end from here. It is possible, though, so don't count these guys out just yet. But we've been mentioning Soranzo and Ike the last few laps already, but they don't have to save any fuel. They can go flat out. They will have to pit in probably 10-20 laps time, and they can just go full beans, full send to the end. So yeah, it will all play out, but I think saving fuel isn't really going to help you in these latter stages of this race, because really you want to go flat out, make some moves, and get that track position right away. If you're going to have to save fuel, you're very easy to pass as well, so they just got to master that, I guess.
Well, as Danny Brennan blinks out down the front straightaway, and pulls into the pits after leading a lap, it will be David Soranzo taking over the lead again with Andreas Ike, just 3.3 seconds, and then Hugo Olsen just behind. So that's the way they slot out after that pit stop. And of course, Hugo has much fresher tires at the moment, close to 30 laps newer. And so Hugo should be able to slide by Andreas Ike and Soranzo with no issue here in a moment, but you still got to do it. And we've seen Soranzo hang on over and over, lap after lap, and Ike put up quite a battle as well. I think they're both very aware that the cars behind still have to get through them, and that's easier said than done around Gateway. You know, by the way, one other thing, Julian, we did not mention at the top of the broadcast, Gateway begins a 4-oval race Oval Championship, and it will be very interesting to see who can win that mini championship within a championship. We'll look forward to bringing you those updates over the season, but right now it's Soranzo and Ike in a strategy battle over Olsen, Lyon, and Levine, and it really all comes down to if and when the yellows come out. That will be the determining factor possibly on who wins this race, as Ike is now really slow and Olsen trying to get around. We're watching this live. You're watching on VirtualRacing.Network. I'm Trevor Greenfield. It's Julian Altena next to me, and we've got a great race happening here with just under 40 laps to go. It's the race number 2 of Season 2 for the Prime Meridian Racing League. Will Lyon now getting underneath Andreas Ike for 3rd position, up onto the podium at the moment, and also Matthew Levine able to get by Ike as well. Hope you're enjoying this one out there. We are too. By the way, appreciate all of your support. Just on Sunday, we were able to do our 50th overall broadcast of VirtualRacing.Network, and of course, this is our 2nd season covering Prime Meridian Racing League, so pleased to be able to do so. If you'd like to support us here on VirtualRacing.Network, we would sure appreciate that as well. You can find ways to do that down in the description. And we certainly do appreciate all of your support. Getting very close to 200 subscribers on YouTube. It's just more ways to get more audience for these drivers and teams and for the PMRL, and be able to get some great exposure for everybody. And again, that all comes down to everybody who's watching right now, whether you're watching during the race, on our YouTube channel, chatting away with us. We appreciate it. Also, Jessica Saban, PMRL admin, stopping by the chat room, letting everybody know she's watching the race as well. And for those of you that are interested, you can join the PMRL as we watch this battle happening here for second place with Hugo Olsen, Will Lyon, and Matthew Levine, all very close to one another. If you'd like to join the PMRL, you'll find the iRacing link down in the description as well.
Yeah, just got a heart attack. It showed out on Hugo Olsen on my screen for a second there. So that's, if you heard it or not, I said, oh, it really gave me a heart attack there, but that was just him breaking out for a second there. I was also just about to say that Saranza had a buffer with Ike in P2, but never mind that, because Ike just got swallowed up by everybody else behind. So Ike dropping down to P6 now, but Saranza still going strong in P1. 3.3 seconds ahead of Hugo Olsen in P2 right now. Don't forget that these guys are in the pit window to make it on one more stop, that being the first upcoming pit stop, to go to the end here. So Saranza still got one more pit stop to go. Hugo Olsen might just be good enough to go to the end if he saves fuel. It's gonna be tight though, but I think if you save a lot, you could make it. So that's what he will be trying to do, but I think Saranza has got this one. For now at least, depending on how legendary of a fuel saver Hugo Olsen and the rest of the field are, of course. So I'm crossing my fingers here for Saranza here, because he is really preying on the race staying green and really banking on that strategy on working as well, because if it doesn't, he is probably going to finish in P10, and of course, if you do the math correctly, P1 and P10 is a massive difference.
A huge difference in points. Every point is going to matter at the end of this championship. Ike now into the pits, possibly trying to undercut and get that final stop done. And Saranzo also coming into the pits to take that final stop. So covering Andreas Ike very cleverly. It's just amazing to see Saranzo, like, ahead of this race and last race, I'm saying, where is Saranzo? He's not up here in this fight. And then all of a sudden today, he is on point. He's got the right strategy to potentially pull this one out at the end. It's no guarantee. It depends on how all this falls, but he and Ike are in the right place at the moment. Olsen taking over the lead. Matthew Levine in second for SMS Racing, and Will Lyon in third, but Orman also close. This is a four-way battle for first place. Now, we were watching just a moment ago, and I could hear Will Lyon completely out of the throttle. To me, it sounded like we'll go back on board, but it sounded like he was even clutching and coasting for just a moment. Let's see as he goes down the start-finish straight if we can hear this at the end. Some aggressive fuel saving. Absolutely the throttle stepping out. And it looked like Orman possibly into the back of Will Lyon. I just saw it in the mirrors. What a moment. I don't know what happened. We will back this one up and take a look.
Well, that's going to ruin the strategy for Saranza and Ike right now, because they're going to be trapped a lap down. With 30 laps to go, to put it bluntly, they're never going to make that grind up again.
No, but everyone else has to come into the pit. So at a minimum, they'll restart back out at the front of this one. Unfortunately, championship implications happening right now. As you can see, the broken SMS Racing car, the side pod for the Project Cars 3 machine flopping all over the place on the racetrack. And, well, Will Lyon is going to have some explaining to do to Ian Bell. That's going to be a big, hefty check for Bell to write. And Orman might end up part of that conversation. As we can see, Matthew Levine leading everybody onto pit road. It's Levine first, and Olsen choosing to stay out. This could be a major factor in this one at the end, as we have Levine, Orman, Lyon, and Fredrickson all taking fuel and tires. Do you have commentary on this strategy here, Julian?
I just noticed this. So basically what Hugo has done, he is the only leader that actually stayed out. So he's going for track position, definitely. But what he's also done is he is trapped Danny Brennan, David Saranza, Andreas Ike, Daniel Dinsdale, Erke Lindstrom, and Jorfi, Connor Pearson, and Thomas Klessens all one lap or multiple laps down. So they're not going to be able to get their lap back. So that's what Hugo Olsen has done here. So now Hugo has got to commit to this strategy. With 28 laps to go, it will be incredibly difficult for him to hold on to this lead with everybody else behind him on fresh tires. But Hugo does have a number of lapped cars between himself and Sam Blackwood, who is the nearest car, and even Sam and Markarek have got lapped cars between them. So this race is not over yet, but if these lapped cars move out of the way, Hugo Olsen's day will be made a lot more difficult. But I think these lapped cars will be trying to race Hugo to get their lap back for maybe another yellow later on. We of course don't hope that's going to happen, but you never know. Cautions often breed cautions, especially at short ovals. And especially late on in this race, like we are right now, with 28 laps to go, coming up to 27 here, that could happen. So yeah, it's just really interesting to see how this race is going to play out with Hugo on old tires and everybody else on fresh tires.
This is kind of what we were hoping to see at the end of this one. Some different strategies coming forward at the very end. That yellow coming out when it did is going to play a factor, as did Hugo Olsen's decision to stay out there and not let these other drivers get in front of him. Danny Brennan would be the first, and you see him there in the green car. See if we can get a tighter shot there. So as you said, Julian, this is a really gutsy call, because Olsen is basically gambling that there will be another yellow and he'll be able to come in and take fresh fuel and tires. He can't make it, I don't think, the rest of the way. I mean, we covered that, right? 115. No, he wouldn't be able to.
Well, he's been saving fuel for a little while now, I do believe, behind all the other cars. So I think he can make it. I don't think he needs another yellow anymore, actually. So I think that's what he was actually trying to do, just to gain track position here. The only difference that will be between him and the other cars is the other cars behind him will have fresher tires, but Hugo's got the track position. I think he is good to go on fuel, because the fuel window was 40 laps, and he last pitted on lap 115. And of course, with all the fuel saving he's done and all the caution laps that we're doing right now, I think he will be good to go. Actually, I'm pretty sure that he will be good to go.
I think you're right. I think he'd be just right on the money without having to necessarily do fuel saving. But that being said, everybody else who did stop, including Matthew Turner, who's in second, Matthew Levine, all these drivers stopping on... Actually, Matthew Turner stopping the same lap that he did. So Turner holding on to that same strategy. He came in on lap 114. But everyone else coming in on lap 131 plus, with the exception of Danny Brennan, who probably thought he was getting a lap back. And so not only do they have fresher tires, but they also are guaranteed on that fuel. They definitely have enough to make it to the end. So in terms of putting it in fuel map 1 and just going for it, they don't even have to think about it. Whereas Hugo, he may be looking at that fuel number and he may say, well, on 1 or 2 of these laps, I got to start fuel saving. Maybe he won't be quite there. Will it be Hugo Olsen? Will it be another driver who comes through with a different strategy? That's what we're waiting to find out here, as there's just 35 more to go, and Olsen leads us to the green flag once again.
Beautiful restart by Hugo there. Timed that really well, already 1.4 ahead of Matthew Turner here. What I mentioned, by the way, with Ike and Lorenzo earlier, they were in a bit of a bubble on old tire runners. So basically Hugo Olsen and Matthew Turner are in that bubble as well. So Olsen has got Turner kind of to protect him from Levine there in P3. So watch that as Orman gets around Lyon and other movers in the background as well. But make sure that you watch the top 2 right now, because they will be the 2 runners on old tires, and Turner will be doing all the dirty work, let's say, to hold on to P2 and defend from Levine there for P3.
Well, it's not really what we're used to calling the dirty work, but you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to hold on tight if you're Matthew Turner right now and make the most out of what you got. You're in second. You got a chance at the end of this one to possibly finish up on the podium or win. It's going to have to stretch one more lap than even Hugo Olsen will, but anything's possible, especially with potentially another yellow that could happen. Matthew Levine just behind. It's going to be start trying to make his move forward in just a moment, but we can see Turner now closing on the backside of Hugo Olsen. No, I'm sorry, 2 seconds back. I apologize. Levine closing on the back of Turner, and then Will Lyon in line not very far behind that.
Yeah, so there's lap traffic in the way of Matthew Turner, so he's got to make his way around there. But I'm not really hearing Matthew Turner save any fuel, so I'm pretty sure he's good to go on fuel also, which is good for him. He can just go flat out to the end, but he's just got to get his way around. I believe that's Andreas Eick just in front of him.
So Danny Brennan in another green car for Wyvern Racing. And unfortunately, now we've got Christian Malkorek in the pits. I don't see a note from him, so unfortunately, that is no good. Also, let's go back to this replay. I don't know, did this happen? Did something happen under yellow? There's Sam Blackwood pulling off on the track during the yellow flag and pulling into the pits, having to jump into the pits. So possibly having an issue there. And as I said, Malkorek now currently just pulling out of his pit box. So unfortunately, Malkorek suffering some sort of an issue, now back to 12.
Yeah, Jorfi just got by Malkorek there. And Jorfi was in the wall at the beginning of this race, and she's now up into P11 again. Still 2 laps down, but still making up positions, which is great for her, of course. Also want to point out, by the way, only 6 cars running on the lead lap. The last one, Oscar Fredrickson, my teammate. So Oscar on for a top 6 at the moment if he finishes this race. He didn't race at Road America last week. So he is doing some very good business in the championship standings right now. As Matthew Turner getting passed by Matthew Levine here for P2. Oh, voice crack, sorry.
Well, it's actually held out really good today. Your voice has, as we watch here, Levine and Turner. Of course, appreciate Julian as we watch. Woo, it is getting close out there between these two. This is such a tight battle. 4 positions separated by less than a second. It's Turner, Lyon, Levine now to the front of Lyon, and Orman just behind. And
this is great for Hugo Olsen as well. All these guys are now going to be battling for position, all battling for P2 with lap traffic still in the way. These guys will all be burning up their tires as they're going all over the place on the racetrack here, to the inside, to the outside, every end of the racetrack. They will be burning up their tires, and this all plays into the hands of Hugo Olsen. Again, lap traffic in the way. And then these guys battling, still going side by side, 2 by 2 through turns 3 and 4. So I think Hugo Olsen's got the best cards to win this race at the moment. 17 laps to go.
Well, and you can be sure that Orman says he's not done with this battle as Orman drifts up the track a little bit, but he's definitely going to be happy that Turner has slowed up these 2 SMS teammates as Orman now dips to the inside of both his teammate and Matthew Levine for SMS Racing and takes both in one corner. So move Orman back up into 3rd, but 0.8 of a second off the front of Orman in 2nd place. It is Will Lyon, who I don't think he's fuel saving anymore. He's going full bore for the end of this one. He's got to get by Andreas Eick, and then it is hopefully clean sailing up to that Hugo Olsen yellow machine. Will we have Will Lyon able to chase down 3.5 seconds on Hugo Olsen in 15 laps? Stay tuned here at VirtualRacing.Network. Don't go anywhere. Hope you've got your favorite beverage with you. And I'm Trevor Greenfield alongside Julian Altena, ready to bring you the close of round 2 here at Worldwide Technology Raceway Gateway for the Prime Meridian Racing League 2nd season. And it's Jesper Orman in 3rd, Will Lyon in 2nd, Hugo Olsen in 1st, Matthew Levine in 4th, and Matthew Turner, the top 5. Oscar Fredrickson for VOR Racing in 6th. And everybody else having to play catch-up from a lap down, as Orman's still struggling to get by that team talent machine of Andreas Eick. He's doing his best Michael Schumacher impersonation and finding a way to make his car 2 car lengths wide, or car widths wide, but they're finally Orman able to get by.
Yeah, and Will had the luck that he was able to drive by Eick pretty cleanly in turn 3 there, so pretty easy move for Will to make there, and now Orman also by, of course, like you mentioned. But yeah, Will is now chasing also like a lion. I guess, I'm sorry I had to make a pun. But 12 laps to go here, and we still don't really know who's going to win this one, but Hugo still has a 3.6 second lead, so it's looking likely that he can hold on to this. Actually, that is Saranzo still between himself and Will Lyon here. So Saranzo being kind of the buffer between Olsen and Lyon here.
And Soranzo just hanging on. Of course, he was up there in the lead, and that last yellow flag catching him out a little bit, but currently in 7th spot, has gained 8 places today, so he'll be happy with finishing there should he finish. But Oscar Fredrickson now looking at possibly trying to take that position from Turner.
He's got the inside here.
Got that inside and follows Levine into the corner, but that high side, Turner's got that high side working really well. He's been able to hold that all day long, and Turner racing with the number 36, my number as well. So always good to see your number out there, your team out there. So it's not me versus you here, Julian, just because you're rooting for Team VOR and Turner happens to have the number 36. So no, it's Oscar Fredrickson there, the Swedish driver in 6, been fighting all day to get this top 5 position, and if he gets it, it will have been through some serious determination and hard work.
Definitely, as he's cutting down to the inside now, gets a great run out of turn 2, goes to the inside line here. Into turn 3 here, can he pull off this pass with 9 laps to go now for the race leader as he crosses the line? Oscar to the inside, pulls off the pass for now, but now the outside momentum for Turner here. Oh, Oscar slides up the tracks, bit of a slide job there actually, but he holds on. And Oscar is ahead going into turn 1, he can now hold the outside line, the preferred racing line. And he's made the position work. What a move by Oscar there, that's the way to do it.
Excellent move by Oscar Fredrickson. That's the style of racing and capabilities that we're used to seeing out of Oscar Fredrickson, and ironically that now makes 3 Swedish drivers in the top 5. So I don't know if it's just the Swedish drivers love Gateway or if they're just that good on these ovals, but Fredrickson now up into 5th, and he did that very convincingly, making that last pass.
Yeah, he did. Makes his team boss proud too, so.
You bet. So we've got just 7 laps to go, and up in the front it is Hugo Olsen who's continuing to get it done. He hasn't lost much ground, just a couple of tenths now to Will Lyon behind in 2nd, your champion. But Hugo is fighting hard and making a case for himself to be up in the lead of these points. We'll have to see how it all works out with the points at the end of this one, but Will Lyon able to do a lot with the car today. He fought really, really well with his teammate all race long, with Matthew Levine doing a lot of great air braking and traffic braking for him. And Will able to execute well on strategy today, able to get up into that 2nd spot at the moment. Looks like that might be where things finish up for Will. Jesper Orman, the number 2 car, in that beautiful reflective gold metallic paint job. Unfortunately, it's completely covered in tire marbles and other dirt from racing almost 60 laps, but he's got that car up into 3rd, and again, just continuing with his podium level pace that he seems to bring every single week. Definitely on the ovals, and he's trying to work on it on the road courses. Matthew Levine, he was up there with his teammate up towards 2nd place just a moment ago, but not able to quite hold off Jesper Orman. Matthew Levine for SMS Racing, they're gonna end up with even more points towards this championship and end up in the lead of this one again. So another great day for the SMS Racing drivers. Of course, Daniel Dinsdale getting a rough break earlier and qualified on the pole, but no longer able to get that top 5 position. But going back through the field, Oscar Fredrickson and Matthew Turner, David Soranzo and Andreas Eich, Danny Brennan. We get back to Daniel Dinsdale, final driver there in 10th, and Ajorfi and Christian Malkarek, as well as Connor Pearson still battling it out. And unfortunately, Sam Blackwood and Eric Lindstrom calling it a day. But here we are on the final lap, and Hugo Olsen has maybe had the strategy to pull this one out after all. He's actually gained a little bit of time on Will Lyon, who was starting to clip into that lead. I think Will's kind of settled in. And Julian, this was a beautiful race from the Team Power Slide driver. Pulls out a 4, pulls it down to the inside, salutes his mechanics, and takes victory here in Gateway. With Will Lyon very good second place, and Jesper Orman just behind in third. Matthew Levine finishes it up in fourth. Fredrickson in fifth. Matthew Turner for Three Crowns Racing will take sixth place and the final car on the lead lap. But this was a really great race. See all these different strategies come out, and it was Hugo Olsen ultimately who had the strategy to take the win.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen some great racing here tonight. As is usual at Gateway, Worldwide Technology Raceway, as it's officially known, but Gateway by heart for the IndyCar fans. But yeah, we've seen plenty of strategy here today as well. Actually, I'm a bit saddened that Saranz, when I got a little bit, let's say, messed up there on the final caution there, but still a great race from Hugo Olsen with that bold strategy call at the end of the race there, and of course it paid off for him. So brilliant win for Hugo Olsen here, and yeah, congratulations to him, of course, and also to the rest of the podium finishers, and also to Oscar, my teammate P5. Great job coming from P10 there, making up 5 positions. The biggest mover in the race, up 8 positions, David Saranzo. Good job from him too.
A lot of drivers gonna be have mixed feelings about this one. This was one where I think a lot of drivers qualified well and then fell back, had a couple of incidents. But certain other drivers kind of rebooted their season. I mean, Saranzo to finish up in 7th, having gained 7 spots on the day. Oscar Fredrickson with a great finish there in 5th. And he's by himself for the team. He doesn't have another teammate like SMS Racing does. Christian Malkrek had a great race going. He's going to go back and try and figure out, exactly where it went wrong or where he got his penalty. Remember these drivers, Anna Jorfi, again, gaining 5 spots from where she qualified. So a lot of these drivers have a great day. And then even if you finished well, I think a lot of these drivers also at one point managed to get up towards the top. And so they'll have to figure out, it's just one of those things. You got to go back, watch the replay and go back and look at the lap charts and everything, see where you slipped out of that podium position. But nevertheless, up here on your screen in just a moment, you saw it happen right here on VirtualRacing.Network. Hugo Olsen by 3 seconds, over 3 seconds over Will Lyon. And I think Will Lyon will maintain the points lead out of this race. However, it is interesting that Hugo Olsen not only getting that point for leading a lap, but also getting point for leading the most laps. And that, again, that's just a couple of points. But to get that right now in the championship over Will Lyon, especially because Will did not lead today, I think Hugo's going to take that kind of an advantage. And that all came down to that really amazing call to not pit at the end, stay out, even if it looked close, and Hugo on the winning strategy. So we'll see at the end of 10 races whether those points, but it's almost like I wish I could remember this at the end of the season, because this could be a deciding day. We're going to take a look and see if we can get any drivers in here for an interview. I know Julian has to go around and get everybody their towels and Gatorade and preferred other electrolytes or whatever else they're drinking. But we do have, let's see here. I think we've got Jesper Orman in our booth. And let's see here. Can you hear me out there, Jesper?
Copy, I hear you.
Hey, bud, that was an amazing race. We saw you fighting hard with everybody. You were up in second for quite a long time. You got the Three Crowns Racing machine up there. Are you happy with today's race? How did it go from your perspective?
Well, you always want more, yeah. I have to be happy with P3. I was on for P2 there. Maybe I could have challenged Hugo if the yellow hadn't come out. And that yellow, unfortunately, I was involved in that incident. Yeah, that wasn't very good. I was looking forward to a green race there in the end, because I was saving fuel like mad. I had fuel till the end. I think Hugo probably had fuel as well. So we had different strategies going there, and yeah, I would have wanted those strategies to play out, but yeah. Anyway, the last stint that was pretty fun with all kinds of cars on different strategies there. So you had to make a couple of passes, and also great job to Will for overtaking me there and keeping that P2, and of course, congrats to Hugo on the P1.
Well, talk about that for a second. Of course, you did get tapped, and you got affected by that, or well, you were in a contact, and you had to deal with that. Did you have any damage to the car? Did you have to make repair? And what were you thinking coming in? You know, having been in an incident, were you thinking, okay, this totally changes my strategy, and now I've got to completely figure out what I'm going to do different on the caution and change my fuel strategy? Or how did that affect your race going forward?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if there was any damage to the front wing, so I had one pair of tires left, so I figured, hey, just pit and we'll see. But I didn't have any damage, so I probably could have stayed out and maybe would have gotten P2 there, but had to take precautionary measures because you never know if you have damage or not.
Exactly. You don't you can't tell because you can't see outside your own car, and it's just one of those wonderful things of iRacing where they don't actually tell you what's wrong with your car or how much damage you have. So sometimes it's helpful to have your teammates there that they could like drive around your car and tell you, but unfortunately sometimes you're just on your own. Nevertheless, gotta feel great to be up there on the podium again. Should get you some great points towards the championship, and a major improvement over where you finished last week over at Road America.
Absolutely. The ovals, that's where I can shine a little bit. That's where I can make up points. I'm losing in the road races, basically. So, yeah, I need podiums in every oval race to keep up.
Well, do you think Three Crowns Racing got anything for the likes of SMS Racing or Power Slide? This was quite an interesting race between all three of your teams, and it looked like everybody was pretty closely matched on this oval.
Yeah, I think we're in the mix there to maybe even win. We have a couple of strong drivers sitting out today, Thomas and Alexis, for instance, and we know Erka. He's pretty strong on the roadside. He just needs he's been away from the car a couple of months. He needs some more practice, but he's definitely capable of doing great results up there. So yeah. I think we as a team we're going for the victory.
I believe you, and we saw Matthew Turner having a great race as well, working with you, and it looked like some formation racing there a little bit as you guys were trying to work together. So anybody that you want to give a shout out to out there?
Yeah, sure. Matt Turner for sure. Without him, I don't think I would have gotten P3 today because, yeah, as you said, we boxed him in a little bit there. I think it was Matt Levine, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Matt, great race starting from the back like that. I mean, he was on the right strategy for sure.
Yeah, he gained 5 spots. You took 1 spot today from 4th forward to 3rd. And I was just talking about that a moment ago. It's so difficult as a competitor because a lot of times when you step away from these races, you say, would I take a 3rd place finish in this race and, end up finishing further ahead than where I qualified? A lot of times you'd be happy to say that, yes, but then you get into the race like this and you know how close you are to that 1st or 2nd position. It's really hard to accept a 3rd, but nevertheless, you did it. Congratulations on your 3rd place and your podium. Would you like to say any words in Swedish?
Sure. För ni som har läst Ture Sventon, han pratar ju om ständigt denna vessla. Så man kanske ska börja kalla Hugo för Vesslan. Den där gula bilen, den är svårfångad kan jag säga. Men vi gör vårt bästa. Vi är ju 4-5 mot 1 här. Så att vi kommer igen. Och vi ska boxa in honom rätt duktigt på nästa ovalrace. Thank you.
Awesome. What did you say?
I said that that yellow car up front, next oval, we're maybe hopefully we're 4 or 5 drivers from our team and we'll box him in. And yeah.
Nice. Nice.
You need to be 3 or 4 or 5 against him to win.
Well, I have a feeling our Swedish fans out there who speak it natively are getting the real gold that we don't get all of that. But glad for you to have some fun out there, and of course that Swedish championship also going on, and there's also the Oval Championship. So you finished second of the three Swedes that were in the race today. And of course, Thomas Christensen not able to compete, but we'll look forward to getting him back in there. And also, you're now in third in the Oval Championship going forward. So, hey, congrats and good luck heading forward in the season.
Thanks, Trevor. Thanks for putting up the stream for us. It's amazing.
Always my pleasure. Thank you so much, Jesper Orman, showing up and giving us a great interview here on VirtualRacing.Network after finishing third here at Worldwide Technology Raceway for the Prime Meridian Racing League. And so now let's see who else Julian has managed to corral. Looks like we've got Will Lyon ready to join us. And there he is, the number one driver, champion of the PMRL in season 1. Hey, Will, can you hear me?
Hi, Trevor. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing brilliant, my friend. And you finished this one in second place, but I have a feeling you're going to tell me that's one spot further back than you thought you were going to finish.
Well, no, absolutely not. I think my aim for qualifying was top 10, and then I hoped in the race I'd be able to push forward to the top 5. I am very much a rookie at the ovals. I don't really know what I'm doing. No, it's a race of mixed emotions. I'm absolutely ecstatic to get second place. But yeah, unfortunately, our teammate Dan, again, we just don't do a lot of ovals, and he was obviously in the lead when the first caution came out, and he's overtaken the pace car when he's come in on the pit lane, and unfortunately he's paid the price there. And yeah, that's why he dropped 2 laps down, and we were just gutted for Dan. We should have warned him, but we just didn't realize it was only really when Jesper and Hugo slowed up that we started saying, oh, wait a minute, Dan, you might want to slow down. So there was that, and then the incident there with Jesper to bring out the final caution. I'm kind of gutted. I don't really know whose fault it is, or if it's a racing incident. I don't know. We were taking very different lines at the time, and I was sort of going deep and cutting back, and he was kind of going. I think he was doing a different line, and I was half fuel saving. I didn't really know what to do, but it kind of killed the battle between him and Hugo, who definitely had enough fuel to get to the end, and they deserved the 1-2 there, to be honest. But obviously the yellow came out. I took my quick repair, and somehow I've ended up in second. It's all kind of a blur, that fight at the end. As Jesper said, it was great fun. And I didn't actually realize Matthew Turner was his teammate, so that kind of explains why they managed to box in Matthew Levine, my teammate. So
right.
It was a fascinating race. Just mixed emotions.
Well, and mixed emotions, but nevertheless, factually, when you step back and look at it, you did take second. As you mentioned, you're not the most experienced on ovals, just 27.69 on an oval compared to the drivers right in front and behind you, who are basically double your amount of iRating. So just talking to the level of experience, the number of official racing that these other drivers have done. But you ended up in second. You had a shot at first, and Levine not far behind. Daniel Dinsdale joining the series this season, looking really good last week at Road America, and then qualifying on the pole here. You got to feel great about where SMS Racing is at as a team, and really where you're looking at for the championship going forward, even in this oval championship within a championship. It's really just kind of a championship day for you and the team.
Yeah, I think I said to you last week, look out for Dan. I didn't think he was going to be pole position, but fair play to him. I mean, I did my lap and I put it into the pit box, and I was like, oh my God, Dan, what have you been drinking today? So that was a phenomenal lap. I mean, I think he was quite clear as well of second place. So yeah, we were both just astounded, me and Matt, just at what he managed to pull out there. So I think we can look forward to seeing more from Dan in the future races. And yeah, it's just one of those just heartbreaking moments when we realised he was going to get a penalty. And I've got to say, he really helped us out at various points of the race. Just giving us a tow to help keep up with people or overtake people. And he really played the team game, and that must have been really tough for him because he clearly had the pace to
Well, it was certainly a lot of fun from our standpoint to go over all these different strategies. At one point, before that yellow flag came out, it looked like it was Andreas Eich and David Soranzo's race, and all of you guys were going to finish a lap down, and then everything got onto its ear when Hugo Olsen decided to not pit and just let everything play out as it was, and as a result, many drivers getting kept a lap down, and Hugo somehow able to hold on to the end. I think if there had been another few more laps, it would have been possibly a different story on fuel. But yeah, congratulations, Will. And again, that Project Cars logo on the side pod and Ian Bell's face in the front. Got to be happy, although you did have some damage there. That's going to come out of Ian Bell's pocket.
Yeah, Ian's not going to be happy about his face getting a few scratches on it. So we'll be in the boss's room first thing in the morning, I imagine, getting put into detention. But we'll work through it, I'm sure.
Well, next race going to be at the Red Bull Ring, so back to your specialty, if you could call that, road courses. Have you done any races yet at Red Bull Ring, at the A1 Ring?
Yeah, I've done quite a lot in the LMP2. I've done a few fixed races, and I think I did a GT3 as well, which was just an utter disaster. The off tracks, I mean, although they've got the new sort of off track system in place at Red Bull Ring, you still want to just use more and more of the curb, and you just get off tracks left, right, and center. It's one of those really frustrating tracks. The improvements they made to Spa were great, but it just doesn't work for me anyway at Red Bull Ring. So I imagine it's going to be a pretty frustrating week of practice. But yeah, I mean, we'll wait and see. It's a really short track, so traffic might be an issue, and I imagine, you know, getting on pole position is going to be really tough because there's going to be, you know, thousandths of a second between people at the sharp end of the order, I think. So yeah, it should be interesting, and you know, hopefully we can get Adam back as well and have all 4 of us charging for that top 5.
Well, there you have it. Charging for a top 5 with SMS Racing. It's your champion, Will Lyon, from Season 1, who managed to have a great oval showing today along with the rest of his team. And I think we're not done hearing about Will Lyon and SMS Racing at the front of this one. We'll see you next week, Will. Congratulations and good luck with the rest of your championship.
Cheers, Trevor. See you later.
So there's Will Lyon checking in from second place. He brings it home in one piece after repairs. Sold out crowd here seeing him finishing in second. But it wasn't really all about Will Lyon and SMS Racing today. Instead, it was actually all about a driver that we've been calling his name a lot on broadcast, both on Thursdays and on Wednesdays now. It's Hugo Olsen in that number 39 yellow Power Slide Motorsports ride, and he gave it quite a ride today. He was just on the right strategy at the end. And Hugo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, bud, that was an amazing race, and you took strategy into your own hands about halfway through. And really, I mean, just your call there on that last yellow flag to not come in, trap everybody a lap down, know exactly where you're at on your fuel strategy, and be able to stick it out to the end. Not only that, but able to keep your gap on Will Lyon. Hey, Hugo, dominant performance today once you got to the front. Congratulations on your victory.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I felt, for some reason I couldn't find the last 10th or 10th to be there in qualifying, but I managed to get like a top 10 starting position, so it was a good start, and I was able to move up 3 places in the first couple of laps there. So when you're up there, you just have to stay on top of strategy, and that's what I did, saving fuel and all that.
So were you thinking if this goes green flag, I'm going to go on this one strategy. It looked like it was pretty evenly broken to 40 laps, 40 laps, 40 laps. At what point did you start to get this idea in your head that, hey, I not only could win this on pace, but I can actually get to the front on this strategy and hold out? Did you have to wait until you're into that last stint before you were finally sure that you could make it to the end? How did that play out for you?
I think it was a yellow with like 1/3. It went back to green with like 1:31 to go or something like that. So basically I had to make like 40... Don't quote me on this, but maybe 45 laps each stint or something like that. And that's when I started saving the fuel. So... and I don't think 46 was possible, but 45 was right on the edge. So if you are in fuel map 5, the leanest map, and not breaking it all into the corners, just coasting, it worked out. But of course you could make more laps if you are in traffic, but I was behind Jesper for a couple of laps one stint, and then he made a mistake and I thought, yeah, I have to go for it now. So I dialed the fuel back up and tried to build a gap for him quickly so he couldn't benefit from the slipstream.
Absolutely. And, you know, you didn't have to... I mean, you were trapped in the battle from behind, but once you got out to the front, it seems like you had the exact right pace, right strategy. Was this... I mean, this was an iRacing default setup from Gateway, so I'm assuming that you possibly have had some laps already on this setup and maybe even done some races. Was this really feeling just like the good old days in the Dallara IR-18 IndyCar at Gateway? Did you just slip back into the same mode of how to get the maximum performance out of the car? Or is there anything different that you had to do this week, given that it is just the iRacing default setup? Were you doing more adjustments to the weight jacker than you usually do? How did this week kind of play out with the setup?
Yeah, it was a bit weird, this thing. I think with most like fixed setup races, it's not how I set up the cars for short ovals. So like I actually had more veer on my right rear tire compared to the right front. So yeah, my driving style maybe it's more saving the right front. So I need to try some more with that, but also I was trying to find speed, but then I looked at some other drivers and they were actually running like the higher line in turn 1 and 2, even in clean air. I always ran the bottom here at this track, at least in clean air, but so I had to move up the track a bit and trying some different stuff with late apex, running the second groove and stuff like that. And yeah, I found a bit more speed with that, so yeah.
And that's one of the things you can do here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. I was mentioning at the top of the broadcast, like, you have options. If you want to adjust your line mid-stint because you think it's going to work better, you can run the outside. Julian was talking about maybe saving your tires, running the outside groove versus running the inside. If you want to try to make passing work, obviously you maybe want to try that inside. That's kind of a cool thing. Is Gateway one of your favorite ovals? Has that emerged?
Yeah, it has to be now.
It's got to be. Yeah. It's got to be with the site of your first oval win here in PMRL. And I don't know if you've taken the championship lead. I was told that we might get. Let's see.
Do you mind if I chip in, Trevor?
Yeah. What do you got, Julian?
So, Hugo, you are now tied with Will Lyon for the championship standing. So can we quickly get your expectations for the rest of the championship here with 8 races to go?
Yeah, I just had to continue like finishing on the podiums to stay in the battle. Like, he finished first last time, now he finished second, and for me it was the opposite. So I just had to keep doing what I'm doing, staying at the front, trying to qualify at the front, and yeah, I usually just try to race 100% as hard as possible the whole race and just continue doing that.
So you're just gonna take it race by race until the end?
Yeah, just push as hard as possible every stint, every lap until the last race.
All right, thank you. That's everything I had for you. Congrats, man.
Well, brilliant race today, brilliant race each week. We're seeing you, hopefully we'll get a chance to see you tomorrow in the Fixed Series as well. And of course, everybody can tune into that tomorrow right here on VirtualRacing.Network. Make sure to stay tuned. Chicagoland tomorrow, but next week here, it will be the Red Bull Ring. Do you have any experience doing the Red Bull Ring as we watch you on screen in the replay doing some awesome donuts after the checkered flag?
I think I've done like 2 laps on Red Bull Ring in Assetto Corsa a couple of months back.
Oh, wow. So not even here on iRacing. Okay.
No.
Well, we'll see coming into it clean whether it's Hugo Olsen with the advantage, Will Lyon, Jesper Orman, all these drivers walking into this really recent track with basically no experience. And so it'll be a fresh chance for us to be able to see everybody go at it and who can adapt the quickest. Hey, Hugo, you're having a heck of a great season right now. You're doing amazing things in iRacing, and we just can't wait to see how this plays out for the rest of the season. Great competition you're bringing.
Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely. Do you have any shout outs, or would you like to say some words in Swedish to your fans?
Yeah, I can say some words in Swedish. I heard what Jesper said earlier. Vi får se imorgon om jag kan köra Jesper, men i så fall så får vi se vem som kommer i mål först.
I heard Jesper. What was it that you said?
Yeah, I was just saying that if I can make the race tomorrow, we will see who finishes up front.
Oh,
They were talking about they were going to box me next time, so we'll see.
we will see. Well, unfortunately, they have the ability to box in, but if you're the only power slide driver, you won't get that opportunity. We'll see. We'll see who ends up at the top end of also the Swedish Championship at the end of this one, as well as over in the Indy Fix. Hey, Hugo, you're having a great season. We'll look forward to seeing the rest of it here in the Prime Meridian Racing League. Great job.
Yeah, thanks. See you.
So that is Hugo Olsen joining us here, VirtualRacing.Network, after his victory. And boy, Julian, that was a blast today. I felt like I was in the race. There was just so much strategy going on that we were watching other people's strategy. We're watching Hugo's strategy, like 4 or 5 different strategies playing out. But as you called it, Hugo with just the perfectly timed strategy there at the end and able to take the victory. It was fun, and I'm also looking forward to next week there at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, both goal by Hugo there, but it paid off. So, like I just mentioned in the interviews as well, where I chipped in there for a second, he is tied with Will Lyon for the series points lead overall. That is with 97 points. Then there's a 20-point gap to Matthew Levine in P3 right now. So everything in the championship is still open as well. I'm expecting Andreas Eich to be stronger as the season goes on as well. So really, I think the entire top 5 right now, plus Andreas Eich and maybe some people in the back with Zaranza and a few others as well, they could be some serious championship contenders right now. But early on in the season, after 2 races, Will Lyon and Hugo Olsen appearing to go head-to-head for this one right now. But of course, as we all know, IndyCar racing is very close, very competitive, so this could all swing in IndyCar 2 time. So we're going to have to wait and see. But going back to this race here tonight, fantastic, many strategies as you mentioned, great passing as well, good racing, and yeah, of course, can't wait to see how the Red Bull Ring goes. The Red Bull Ring is known for its close racing with the long straights, of course, as well. And of course, we're going to wait and see how that pans out here in the PMRL.
Well, back to road courses, a brand new one at that. Classic European track. Nobody has the advantage. Should be fun. Stay tuned next week. And of course, as we get ready for next week, this week comes to a close, and it was Hugo Olsen who stormed to victory. No doubt about it. He's got the skills to take on Will Lyon and SMS Racing for that championship. So make sure to stay tuned for that. And as I mentioned, stay tuned tomorrow for the Indy Fixed race. Going to be right here on VirtualRacing.Network. Make sure to subscribe to VirtualRacing.Network's YouTube channel. And of course, we're over on Twitter, Virtual Racing N, as well as on Facebook. And Julian, it's Julian31 Altena over at Twitter. And then I always get this wrong. It's VOR Racing? No, Velocity OR?
Yes.
Velocity
yes, I was
OR.
waiting for you to say it right. Yes, Velocity OR.
Velocity OR is where Julian's at over there on Twitter as well. You can stay tuned to that. Well, it was a great race, and again, if you'd like to support us, we do appreciate it. We're able to bring this race and the whole season long here in Prime Meridian Racing League, as well as all the other coverage that we do here at VirtualRacing.Network. We're doing it free of charge, and as a result, these leagues can choose to charge less money to the competitors to enter, etc. If you'd like to support us, head on down into our description. You'll see a link to donate. We do appreciate that. And in the meantime, until we see you next week here for the Prime Meridian Racing League, on behalf of myself, Julian Altena, and all of the competitors here, as well as the administration for the Prime Meridian Racing League, it's been a pleasure, and we will see you then. Till then, bye-bye, everybody.